If agriculture done properly is a very profitable business, I would say. The biggest problem in India is the productivity. So we did it scientifically. We know what we are going to consume, but we don't know what we are going to produce. A mediocre strategy with a superb execution is always better than us. Excellent strategy and poor execution.
Is it lonely at the top?
It is. It is lonely at the top as an entrepreneur, I feel.
Hello and welcome to our podcast series, Pathfinders. We are here with the next episode today. Pathfinders, as you know, is a series of success stories that we bring from the world of business. In the reality of business, there are challenges and obstacles that entrepreneurs overcome every single day. And it is out of these stories that we bring together to you some of the pages. And today I'm really happy that in our studios we have our guest, Jital Shah. He is the managing partner of Sanghar Industries and also the CEO of Elai AgriTech. Thank you very much, Jital, for having spared time today.
Thank you, Mr. Dharmadakari.
Really a pleasure to have you here.
Likewise.
It's a very interesting conversation that I had with you before we started about how diversified has it been for you in the last 20 years in the world of business. Starting from agri exports to talking about satellite sensing for technology being brought into agri-tech to talking about something different in terms of pro bono, all of this. What is it that you think that comes out as one single highlight in your journey in the last 20 years?
In continuous learning, I have a massive thirst for learning. I like to keep myself updated about many things which don't relate to my business also. And obviously, I have been very passionate about agriculture. Somewhere I got a feeling that a lot of people do forward integration. Why not we try a backward integration? And that's where my true agriculture journey began, where I kind of met someone from Netherlands at a trade fair and we started business, and he told me he was growing onions in 22 or 23 countries at that time, and I'm talking way back in 2008. And he told me, I would like to grow onions in India with you. I said, why not? Let's try.
Okay.
And that's where my journey of backward integration started. And I got deeply rooted into agriculture. I have been there in the farms from day one, from sowing to harvesting too. So I have learned it practically everything. And I realized that if agriculture done properly is a very profitable business, I would say.
This is interesting because one of the statements you shared just now is that it's a very profitable business. And yet, it's a sad state of affairs that the poorest of the poor in our country are farmers today.
Yes, so that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's very important to understand when to grow and how to grow. The biggest problem in India is the productivity.
Yeah.
So we did it scientifically. Like a normal onion farmer grows about 7 or 8 tons in an acre. We were growing about 22 tons.
That is 23 times?
Yes.
3 times?
Yes. So that's where I said it. Why is it profitable? Though, like the seeds which we were getting were about close to about 25,000 rupees a kilo against a traditional seed which is about 3,000 rupees a kilo. But in spite of this, with 3 times the productivity, I think so the math is clear.
Yeah, yes.
So yeah,
Eight times the cost,
yeah,
but the productivity
is 3 times.
if you get into growing yourself, which is pretty much like running the business yourself, and if the volumes go up, that needs your mind share, that needs your involvement on a daily basis. How did you manage that?
So see, we didn't, frankly speaking, we never went to those scales where we were catering to the local markets. We had our programs decided with our clients because we were doing a specialty grade of onions. It was a variety of sweet onions, which goes mostly to Europe. So we were managing things within our scale. And I think so. This is the AgriTech platform which we have developed will facilitate, we will add a lot of value to corporate farming. We'll add a lot of value to governments where prediction. Today, our biggest challenge is we don't know. We know what we are going to consume, but we don't know what we are going to produce. And that's where we see inconsistencies in supply demand and prices shooting up.
It reminds me of some of the crises that our country has seen in the past where Markfed or NAFED had to jump in to manage the situation and all of that. At some point in time, have you considered taking this technological innovation in the area of agriculture to government to ask them to start replicating it at mass level?
So yes, we are talking. We are doing some pi- project pilots for them. We have been speaking to the director of onion and garlic research. Then we are going to propose this to government horticulture agencies, which are monitoring that how we can
Hmm.
facilitate this. Or
On the one hand, we have those developed Western economies which have industrialized the agricultural production by doing things at mass level because the realities of their socio-economic fabric are different from ours. And on the other end, there are countries like ours where, like you said, there are marginal farmers. But we also know that eventually the path to prosperity is only through industrialization of agricultural production. How do we strike a balance between these two while taking care of people's interests, but also infusing technology?
I think so. It begins whatever needs to start. The push has to come from the government. The government has to push it. Yeah. There is a lot of technology innovation happening for agriculture. People like I speak to venture capitalists, speak to people in the startup domain, and everybody says like I think so. Agri-tech today is where fintech was about 15 years back.
Ah,
So it has just started. That industrialization of agriculture has started. If you see a lot of industrialization, we can see last 20 years and today has happened with farm mechanization, using tractors, using harvesting tools. Yeah, using all kind of, even drip irrigation has increased. So I think so I would say we are at the very, very nascent stage.
What you mentioned really sounds promising, that having an equivalent of UID for farmers and what they produce and being able to monitor. And the great thing about technology is that it is very easily scalable. If you can do it for 10 farm fields, you can do it for 1 million farm fields. Mm, and it looks like we are on the way to be able to achieve that. I'm trying to visualize there will be a central database to be managed and monitored by some central agency, and the provinces and the states will be able to have a stake in that. And that farmers can benefit from it. At some point in time, the statistical insights will translate into what should we try and sow in the next season, things like that. But what is that one big challenge you foresee in being able to successfully implement it by the government or by the private operators over a period of time?
I think so it's the scale of our country and the scattered farms. It's the scattered farms. Our farm sizes are very small.
Okay.
And I don't think so, even till today, all land records are digitized in India. Very few states have digitized their land records. So, one is it's just to begin with in every village or taluka, how much land is under agriculture. You begin from there, and then it's so I think so it's purely the scattered farms in our country and the small holding. That's going to be a big challenge.
And how do you productize this output? And who is the target segment here?
So our present, we started,
Hmm.
frankly, I'll tell you, it's an interesting story. We started as a B2C. We thought we will be able to service farmers.
I was about to come to that. If yes, then what is the GTM there?
Yeah.
How do you reach out to the
Yeah.
masses?
So we started with that, like we'll be advisory platform to farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had developed a mobile app. We really struggled for a year. A is we figured that farmers don't like to pay. Yeah, for such kind of services. Giving free was out of question. B is they're very, very reluctant to adopt to anything new. They they just don't trust that
Yeah.
a technology can help them improve the yield because they feel we've done it for so many years, nobody knows better than us. And C is whenever we used to tell them to draw their coordinates or move around the boundary, we actually had an app where you just had to walk around the boundary and it would capture. But that also, I think so. It was just the I wouldn't say it was probably it was the reluctance to kind of really accept that.
Something like total town survey that they do in country planning,
Yeah.
you know?
So ours was very simple. You walk around the field, it'll pick up the coordinates, and that's it. So
Wow. But
I
farmers were reluctant.
yeah, farmers were reluctant, and then challenges with connectivity to internet. So we had even made a model which kind of picks up offline, and then once you get into
Mm-hmm.
a more area where there is range, it'll transmit the data. But no, reaching out to farmers was a big challenge, and that's where we decided we will not be a B2B, but we'll be sorry, B2C. We'll be a B2B company, and that's when we decided our target market is going to be corporate farmers who do corporate farming, FPOs also to some extent. Then seed companies who need a lot of this data analytics, and definitely microfinance and financial institutions. We can tell them.
Traditionally, like you said, you are the third generation entrepreneur in the area of onions and exports. And like we briefly discussed about the volatility in the market. And because almost all of your portfolio is dependent on exports, in what way do you safeguard your own bottom lines when it comes to dealing with volatility?
So I think so with being in this business for so many years, we can also read the markets. Yeah,
Mm.
that's one thing. But what we did is it's unfortunate that it, onion is a product which is even politically sensitive. So any when the prices go soaring high, the first thing the government does is bans or restricts.
Yes,
That is, which makes it if it's a ban, it's a closed door.
correct.
But restrictions make them unviable in the international market. So what we've done in the last 10 years is we've also established partnerships in other countries where we have partners. So whenever there is a shortage or there is restrictions, we ship from those countries and see that our clients
Oh,
have their regular supplies, and we've developed a completely parallel ecosystem for supply. So that has really helped us maintain our.
your association with EO and your understanding of the scaling up framework and the way you highlighted how you prefer to make things really structured, all of this eventually starts translating in the way your companies are managed today. And uh, that also helps the second layer leadership to grow in a certain mold. Are there any instances where you think that all of this translating into your succession planning has tremendously helped you?
I think so. Yes, structuring has definitely helped to bring in more operational efficiencies, making operations lean, yeah, and improving the bottom line. That it is getting reflected. I think so. I've started paying a lot of attention to it in the last 3 to 4 years. Yeah, after reading the book Scaling Up, and I use it more for my startups and startups which I'm mentoring. Like I told you,
Yeah.
we also have a family office, and I look at investing in uh, startups and unlisted entities. So
Hmm.
the startups we have invested, I'm even sitting on the boards, and out of my personal passion, I do mentor a few startups. So it helps me a lot over there to bring in that structure, because what I feel is startup founders, there is a lot of fire in the belly. Yeah, they have great ideas, they're good at innovation. But I've seen, especially in tech startups, the innovators, what we talk.
Yeah.
Once the innovation is done, they start losing interest in that business. And that's where I think so the scaling up structure
Mm.
or just it helps a lot.
Is there one challenge that you find most commonly in startups today that they're facing? One
Focus.
challenge,
Focus.
lack of focus,
Yes. Lack of focus.
and that would lack of focus would mean lack of clarity in terms of where do they want to reach.
No, they want to do everything at the same time.
Multitasking.
Yeah. And when I say at one point you have to stop experimenting, like it even happened in my startup, and I said we have to stop experimenting now.
Hmm, 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 hmm.
Yeah, if we build something, Let's go out and get validation.
In the forum related to businesses or startups, most of the time people come up with things like capital infusion. That if only I had more money to start accelerating my business, it would be much easier. But it is actually the lack of focus that is pulling them back because they don't know that specifically where do they want to reach.
I listen to a lot of pitches. I
Huh?
listen to a lot of founders.
Yeah,
I'll ask you a question.
yeah.
When you see a founder who is extremely focused, who is structured, who knows what every element of the business, or who has a vision and who knows how to execute it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Don't you think you would be okay to put money
correct.
into that kind of a startup again? Someone
Correct.
who has a great idea but really doesn't know how to execute. So
Yeah.
I always remember one professor at Harvard told us
Yeah.
a mediocre strategy with a superb execution is always better than excellent strategy and poor execution.
Now, talking about Eli and the journey that started a few years ago, if you were to roll back in a time machine to that same point where you started Eli from, what is that one thing that you will not do?
Experimentation. Stop experimenting.
Okay.
And I think so. I I was not giving as much time and attention as much as needed. I trusted the second layer a lot on their capabilities, and I saw that there were cracks in execution. That's where I had to get hands on. So I think I came in very late in execution. It's that discipline was lacking, and I would see that. That environment, that mindset, the culture changes.
Culture, which is driven by values, and values can not be taught to people. Values are instilled in people, and you bring those values along.
Yes, very true.
As much as I enjoyed the conversing with Jital today, I'm sure you enjoyed watching this podcast episode. And as usual, here are my 3 takeaways. Takeaway number 1, focus, and which is what most of the startups lack today. That the absolute focus is necessary, only then they will be able to chart the path to success. The second one, and it is very close to my heart, is continuous learning. To continue to stay curious about something which is new, something which is different. It might not be related to your mainstream industry, but you still must keep your eyes open and ears available so that you continuously keep learning. And the third one is to stop experimenting and execute what you think is the best foot forward. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and thank you very much, Jitul, for having spared time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I don't know where time flew. It was fun talking
Great.
to you.
Yeah, I loved it too.
Yeah.
We will bring to you the next podcast episode next week once again. Until then, keep scaling up.